Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Living Wisdom and Dharma World. I'm thrilled to have you here as we explore some fascinating research and incredible stories that highlight the unimaginable power of the mind. These insights will not only captivate you, but also deepen your understanding of a profound teaching from the Buddha. Our world is created by our mind, and we are shaped by our thoughts. Today, we will delve into real-life examples and scientific studies that demonstrate how the mind can influence our perception, physical well-being, and even the course of our lives. By the end of this discussion, I believe you'll feel even more inspired by the Buddha's timeless wisdom. Let's begin with our first story, a truly astonishing piece of news that illustrates how the mind can shape reality in ways that might seem almost impossible. 1. Strange but true. Loud drips can scare you to death. In 1936, an experiment in India, recounted by Nobel laureate Bernard Lown in The Lost Art of Healing, demonstrated the terrifying power of the mind over the body. A prisoner sentenced to death by hanging was offered an alternative execution method, the gradual and seemingly painless draining of blood. The prisoner consented and was strapped to a bed, blindfolded. Unbeknownst to him, no bloodletting occurred. Instead, water containers were attached to the bedposts, and buckets were placed below to catch the sound of dripping water. The experimenters lightly scratched the man's extremities, simulating the feeling of incisions. Then, they created the illusion of blood loss by allowing water to drip audibly into the buckets, starting rapidly, then slowing. The blindfolded man, believing he was bleeding to death, experienced escalating panic. Despite not losing a single drop of blood, his heart ultimately stopped as the sound of dripping ceased. The healthy young man died purely from fear. Psychologist Dennis Kuhn, in Essentials of Psychology, Exploration and Application, explains that death by fright can occur in two ways. The fight or flight response causes a surge in heart rate and other physiological reactions, which can overwhelm the body and lead to death. Alternatively, parasympathetic rebound occurs when the body's effort to calm itself goes too far, resulting in a fatal heart stoppage. Historical accounts describe soldiers dying of fright in brutal battles and individuals succumbing during highly emotional events. The phenomenon of voodoo deaths further illustrates the immense influence of the mind on the body, showcasing the terrifying potential of psychological stress to bring about fatal physical consequences. 2. Mind This. Research Reveals the Power of the Mind by Becky Bach, an article published on June 18, 2018. From the intricate network of cells in our brain emerges the mind, a powerful and elusive entity that forms our sense of self through thoughts and perceptions. Researchers are delving deeper into understanding the mind, exploring its capabilities and potential for change. According to Alia Crum, Ph.D., director of the Stanford Mind and Body Lab, the mind is not a passive observer, merely perceiving reality. It actively changes reality. Her research highlights how the mind influences perceptions and health. For instance, people who believe their physical labor at work counts as exercise tend to live longer, regardless of their actual activity levels. Similarly, individuals told that a milkshake they consumed was indulgent felt fuller, and those informed that their drink contained caffeine experienced increased blood pressure. These findings how beliefs and perceptions can shape physiological responses. The mind's role in pain perception is another area of significant impact, as demonstrated by clinical psychologist Beth Darnall, Ph.D. Pain, Darnall explains, is highly responsive to an individual's psychology and mindset. People who engage in pain catastrophizing, expecting severe pain, dwelling on it, and feeling helpless, experience heightened pain, longer hospital stays, and greater reliance on painkillers. Conversely, those who adopt a positive mindset report reduced pain, shorter hospital stays, and less need for medication. Darnell's team is developing interventions to lower opioid use and alleviate pain in individuals with chronic conditions or those recovering from surgery. These findings open the door to broader inquiries into the mind's influence on learning, social belonging, life experiences, and more, revealing its profound power to shape our reality and well-being. 3. An unbelievable story about the power of mind from a Chinese Buddhist master and scholar, Nan Weijin. There was a death penalty criminal in China at the end of Qin dynasty. His friend was the person who was going to execute him. Although the executioner was this criminal's friend, there was no way that he could avoid executing the criminal. But in order to comfort him, he pretended to help his friend by telling him, "When I am about to push down the knife and call cut, but I don't actually push it down, you should run as fast as possible, okay?" In fact, he had to push down the execution knife to cut his head off his body. This criminal believed his friend's words. On the day of execution, he just did exactly what his friend told him to do. He ran as fast as he could. He ran to South China from north to settle down there. He even had his own business, got married, and had children. After 20 years, he really missed his hometown and wanted to thank his friend who didn't kill him. So he came back his hometown to visit his executioner friend, who was horrified to see him in flesh standing in front of him. He said, "What? Aren't you dead? Are you a ghost?" This criminal replied no, and told his experience after running away from the execution. In astonishment, his executioner friend told him that he truly cut off his head, ordered his men to help clean his corpse, and buried him in person, because he could not avoid executing him, as that was his job. When this criminal heard his words, he suddenly turned into a puddle of blood. This is a true story. Can you believe it? This is the power of the mind. 4. Can we reverse aging? The astonishing power of the human mind. The human mind has always been a source of wonder and curiosity, leading to extensive research on the brain's functioning and its extraordinary capabilities. Scientists have continuously pushed the boundaries of understanding, uncovering facts that amaze us. In 1981, Harvard social psychologist Ellen Langer conducted a groundbreaking study to explore whether turning back the clock psychologically could also reverse physical aging. She sought to determine if attitude, beliefs, and mindset influenced physical health and the aging process. Langer invited 8 men in their late 70s to participate in a 7-day residential retreat. The environment was meticulously recreated to replicate the socio-physical setting of the year 1959. The men were instructed to talk, act, and feel as if they were living in that era when they were in their prime. Upon arrival, they were required to carry their luggage, regardless of its weight, and no assistance was provided. Many arrived stooped or using canes, highlighting their frailty. Before the retreat began, the men underwent a series of tests measuring their physical and mental functions, such as cognition, memory, flexibility, hearing, and vision. The retreat environment was devoid of mirrors and featured portraits of the men from their younger days. Black and white televisions broadcast Ed Sullivan's show. Radios played music from Perry Como and Jack Benny, and the shelves were stocked with books and magazines from 1959. Twice daily, discussions were held on topics relevant to that era. such as Cold War concerns and Castro's advance in Havana. Participants were encouraged to engage in these discussions using the present tense, fully immersing themselves in the as-if scenario rather than merely reminiscing. By the end of the retreat, all participants showed remarkable improvement across the parameters tested at the start. A man who had arrived in a wheelchair left using only a cane. Another, previously unable to wear his socks without assistance, hosted the final evening's dinner party. On the penultimate day, the men, once frail, played touch football on the lawn. Improvements were observed in physical strength, hearing, vision, IQ, gait, posture, dexterity, memory, arthritis symptoms, and overall well-being. 63% of participants displayed significantly higher intelligence scores. Reflecting on the study, Langer stated, "Wherever you put the mind, you are necessarily putting the body." Langer's study offers key insights. 1. The perception we have of ourselves and our environment is vital. 2. Mindset has a far greater impact on health and aging than previously believed. 3. Shifting our mindset can significantly enhance overall well-being. 4. The common belief that aging necessarily entails memory loss and declining health may be challenged. This study demonstrates the profound impact of mindset and self-perception on our lives. For individuals facing various challenges, the priority often lies in shifting perception and fostering well-being. The pressing question remains: how can we actively apply these lessons to our own lives? The teachings and insights shared in these stories and studies vividly illustrate a central tenet of the Buddha's teaching. The mind is everything, it creates all phenomena. The profound power of the mind, as explored in these narratives, underscores the role of perception, belief, and mindset in shaping not only our psychological state, but also our physical reality. Analysis. 1. The influence of perception on reality. The story of the prisoner in India who succumbed to an illusory bloodletting process highlights how deeply the mind influences physical outcomes. The belief in a life-threatening situation, even in the absence of physical harm, caused his death. This aligns with Buddhist teachings that the mind perceives and shapes reality, often becoming the architect of suffering through misapprehension. 2. The mind is a catalyst for healing and change. The Stanford studies by Alia Crum and Beth Darnell reveal that the mind can directly affect physical health. Belief in exercise or indulgence changes physiological markers, while a positive mindset reduces pain perception and hospital stays. These findings echo the Buddha's guidance on cultivating right thought, sammasankappa, to transform suffering into well-being. 3. The power of conviction and illusion. Nan Weigen's story of the criminal who lived a full life based on the belief that he was spared demonstrates the mind's ability to transcend physical constraints through conviction. His eventual death upon learning the truth reflects how attachment to perceptions, whether accurate or mistaken, governs existence as emphasized in Buddhist doctrine. 4. Reversing aging with mindset. Ellen Langer's study illustrates the transformative potential of living as if in a desired state. Participants' physical rejuvenation demonstrated that aligning the mind with a youthful perception of self influences bodily health. The Buddha taught that perception, sanna, is a critical factor in our experience, and by reshaping it, we can change our relationship with reality. Conclusion. These stories and studies collectively affirm the Buddha's assertion that the mind holds the ultimate power to create and transform our world. Whether it is fear leading to death, belief fostering healing, or mindset reversing aging, the phenomenon that the mind is both the root of suffering and the path to liberation. By cultivating awareness, right perception, and mindfulness, we can harness this power to transcend limitations, alleviate suffering, and foster well-being. Truly, as the Buddha taught, all that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Feel free to leave a comment sharing the insights you gained. Your reflections may inspire and enlighten others on their own paths. Wishing you peace, happiness, and well-being.